Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my friends. My name is Dharam Singh, and I'm privileged to have Jeff Potter today, and one of the smartest guy I can find, and who has done PgMP recently. So whoever does the PgMP or PfMP, I call them smarter people. So look, there are only few people on the planet, so I get the first pick, and Jeff accepted my invite, and he's ready to share his knowledge with you guys. And we're going to learn a lot. I'm going to learn a lot in this process, and you're going to learn a lot out of this. So thank you all to join, and thank you, Jeff, for accepting this invite. It's a wonderful opportunity for us to learn from each other, and hopefully the interaction we're going to have today will bring more knowledge and understanding to the people watching us today. So welcome.
I'm happy to be here.
How are you today?
I am doing great. It is a sunny day here in Nebraska.
You're in Nebraska. Okay, Nebraska in United States.
Yes.
One of the quieter place in USA.
Yes, it is pretty. There's not much going on.
Good. And looking at your background, I can see lots of medals and certificates. I can see the certificate as well, which of course one of them is PgMP, and lots of medal. I wish PMI can also give us a medal, at least to me, maximum PgMPs or PfMPs. I love that if they can do that. Anyway, yeah. So good stuff. So thank you all to join. And I know some of you are joining in maybe middle of night or early morning, but that's where your passion of learning. And good news is I have one PDU, approved PDU from PMI. So by the time we finish, you will have a PDU. And if you want to earn more PDUs, of course, you keep watching the future webinars and the past webinars as well. So whatever webinar I've done in last 1 year, most of them should give you one PDU. So if you do watch them on your YouTube channel, which most likely you have access to that. If not, let me know. There are more than 200 webinars now or recordings now. So it's a lot to go through, not just for PDU. I don't think you should only worry about PDU. You should think, what can you learn from those specialists or the leaders who have gone through this path and shared their knowledge. And also you can visualize yourself sitting here in front of me as Jeff, and you're talking to the audience. So you can also do that. So that will, like, actually people start asking, hey, can I be part of your webinar? So look, you can be, but you have to be special. You have to be extraordinary, especially in my eyes. I know you all are special. And so today's program is all about influential project leaders and resilient teams. So we're going to talk a lot about that, how these influential leaders and the resilient team can make or bring changes to the organization. So I could not see anybody else other than Jeff to talk about this topic. So Jeff is coming with lots of experience, 15+ years of project, program, and portfolio management experience. He has worked in waterfall and agile or hybrid type of large-scale projects and programs. And currently, he is working for WGU, Western Governance University. I hope that's the correct way of pronouncing. And yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you got it.
Yeah. So you were, before you start the program, you were a program manager in the process of getting PgMP, and also now you become PFM portfolio manager. So soon you will be, we have a plan to get your PFMP as well. Anyway, so yeah, so I can talk a lot about you, your experience as a program portfolio manager in many companies, and your certification as an ACP. You are ACP certified, your PMP, PgMP, and CSM, and you have master's degree in business and leadership. Wow, a lot to talk about. And the best part is you pass your PgMP exam on 31st March 2023.
Yes.
That's the highlight. And yeah, I don't think it took long time to complete your journey. You came to me and you would like to talk about that if you want. What happened?
Yeah, I would love to talk about it. It was the PgMP was something that came up in the process. It did take me a few months to go through the whole process, but I had done just some kind of non-organized study for it. I had a book I was reading and then when I came across your program, and then that really kind of kicked things off. It was, did the one-on-one mentoring, really liked that aspect of it. I had not done any sort of program like that for any of my other certifications. And it really was, and it really was just something that was, I liked the accountability part. That was one thing that I really liked, because it was like each week, and you set out the schedule, and it was like I was back in school again. And so every week, and I'm the type of person that I wanted to have the things done, because it really helped me keep on track to learn the principles, read the manuals, but then also to have that accountability. And then also even the video series that went along with it. I really appreciated your expertise with it. And you laid the groundwork and the challenge questions, over then those, I believe we had 11 sessions, something like that.
11 sessions, yeah.
And then did that over couple months. I took another 4 or 5 weeks to just really hone in and study. And then, as you said, the end of March. And I really thought, but this is me, I really thought I failed the exam when I hit the submit button. And it's so funny. And I was like, oh, I think I failed that. And then I hit the button and I was above target and in basically every area. And so it was like I wasn't even close to failing, and I got done. And you're the first person that I texted when I got back in my car and said I passed with flying colors. And it really was your program. And by the way, disclaimer: I'm not getting paid to say this. That it really was instrumental in me passing in such a, that's just me thinking I was failing, but that was not because I wasn't prepared. I was very much prepared, and your program really was instrumental in that. And I really like what you said at the beginning, not only just talking about, get the PDU, but I learned things that I won't forget from PgMP. And because of how you set it up, you very much focus on, even when you would ask me questions, you would gear them to my experience, gear them to my education, gear them to what I'm experiencing now, so I can instantly put it into practice. And that's the key with any of these certifications, isn't it? Is to really make sure, how can I apply this to my discipline, to my industry, and how can I use this? And then not only just for myself, but how can I be a champion to show others these standards and practices in my organization?
Yeah, and good. Look, you did really well, having all about target, and I think you completed the exam 3 hours or something.
It was under 3. It was 2:45.
Yeah, oh look, that's even better. So I have only few people who can claim that they completed the exam in under 3 hours. We're talking 4-hour exam, and I have I think three people, they completed exam in 2.5 hours. And you saying 2:45, 2:45, and at the end of the day, you got the result. You have the experience, which I was very excited to get. And by the way, on the same day, I was also sitting in the exam center doing my SP, PMI SP. I passed the exam with, I will say, 2 days of preparation. I didn't have time to do that, but anyway. Look, I like to see you learn and apply the knowledge, and you go all the way and complete the exam. Then exam become like walk in the park, and that's what happened in your case. Mm-hmm. So fantastic! Congratulations, if I can pronounce this properly. That's one of the things I go under struggle. But otherwise, having 458 PgMPs and 117 PfMPs, every one of them is a proud moment for me. So look, I can keep talking about that. and I can keep celebrating about that. But main thing today is about influential project leaders. So I do have some questions for you, and I do have a question from audience already given to us, and I will be hoping to see more questions from the audience as we go. So guys, if you can please start typing your questions about the topic, and at least say hello to me and Jeff. You know that I like to see that you're actually hearing my voice and or hearing and seeing, able to see us properly. So love to see your message on the question pad. Please do that. That excites me more. I'm waiting now. Before I start my question, I'm waiting. Not really. All right. So Jeff, my question to you, and feel free to use examples and whatever ways you can do explain it to the people who really came to see you, not to me. And I'm available everywhere, but you are the one hero today, so we have to be getting the maximum value to our friends. All right, so my first question is, how are the project leaders using artificial intelligence? It's one of the most, the hottest topic in the world. Artificial intelligence for organizational decision making. And I have a second question attached to this. How is tech-fueled reset and disrupting the project culture and the team performance?
Yeah, those are two huge questions to start with, and it's something that one thing that I really had a good opportunity about 2 months ago. I went to a software conference and actually heard the CEO Jensen Huang from NVIDIA spoke about AI, and they're really pioneering, really kind of on the front edge of AI. And he gave a good example. The first example that I'll talk about with his example was more on the service delivery life cycle, but it shifts so well into projects. And then I have a couple examples for everybody here. How can we, in our project program portfolio world, how can we kind of think about AI as it starts, and how can we influence that with our decisions in our organizations? But he actually had a quote here, and that he said, agile companies will take advantage of AI and boost their positions. Companies less so will perish. We'll leave that there for however you feel about that. But he addressed the Taiwanese, that was at a graduation commencement talking to the graduates. But I think it just shows how AI, it's such a huge topic, and how we implement that as projects. And the example that we got a live demo at this conference that I was at, that had an internal user that was interacting with an AI bot for a process. They needed some user access. They needed a password reset that, as we know, typically would go to a service person. And then while they're doing these things, both of their processes, they're not really getting a lot of value add. This person's waiting for the service person to help them. The service person now has to leave something that might be more of a mission critical value add and have to go back and forth. Well, they gave this example, this AI, this person was able to interact with this technology, and within a minute, they got the access that they need, the security verification that they need, reset their password, and this person went on to just keep doing their work. The service delivery person didn't even have to do anything. They stayed focused on their critical. And as you think about projects that way, a really good example is us as project leaders. I was thinking about, what about those archiving documents? Take lessons learned for an example. We finish a project, a program, we're getting ready to do something new, and it's like, hey, I think I've done something like this very similar. This looks very similar. So what do, right? We do our good project management standards, and we go back and we sift through the documents, and we pull out the archives, we pull out that historical data that we can use it again. Well, and we make a decision on that. Well, here's one way that we can use AI. I know it's kind of scary, but it's not going to replace our job as a project manager, but it's going to take those things that we can focus on: stakeholder engagement, interacting with our sponsor, really getting ready for our decision analysis, our initial ROI before we even start, and let like AI could use, oh, this is what you did before. Here's some documents that you use. Here's a template that you used. Populate all of those again, all their value add, but I can stay focused on that mission critical things and start developing the things, stakeholder management, really starting the process and let that do some of those cyclical processes for us and help learn to make us more efficient. And another example that I thought some of us here might be in a PMO, might be or maybe even a director of a PMO. Well, think about us on a team in a PMO of a project manager program portfolio, and we're on a team and we're doing projects that might be related because we have the same organization, right? The same standard for this organization as a PMO. We can help make decisions, use AI in those decisions to be, hey, here's a project. It can start pulling, what does Jeff do? What does Dharam do? What does Tanya do? What does Sunil do? And they can start to see those similarities in all projects and start to pull out some of that data automatically without all of us having to go in it and do that manually, if that makes sense. That could be a template. That could be a organizational process, and let AI start to learn and use those things to assist us to where maybe now you and I can do 3 projects at once instead of maybe 2. We're not getting rid of the project managers. We're helping us become more efficient and better at what we do, and let some of the technology utilize some of those things that, let's face it, it's much better to really dig into the details on the project than to say, oh, here's the same template that you used, and let that kind of fill out some of those cyclical things for us and learn from it.
Exactly. I mean, AI is evolving very, very fast. Then with so much features, like if we talk about ChatGPT and within ChatGPT, you can have lots of other software connected, and you can do so many things. I mean, unbelievable. One day I wanted to create a diagram picture. Normally I go to Visio or something else. I said, hang on, let me try it out. People talk about ChatGPT. Hey, ChatGPT, can you help me? And I have to plug in. I have to have a plugin. Can you help me with drawing this in? Can you give me a data flow diagram? They ask me which type of data flow diagram you want. There are 3, 4 options. Okay, give me this. I tried all of them. Amazingly, within a few seconds, I have those diagrams. So think about, you have to go and create those Visio or PowerPoint somewhere. It's going to take at least, even after practice, 4 to 5 minutes, or maybe 10 minutes to. I'm talking a very efficient way. But here, the diagram fully ready, available for me to use within few seconds. And I can open more. Can you give more? Can you define it? Can you put more colors onto this? Can you remove this? Wow, even if I'm giving instruction to my assistant, I don't think they will be that efficient. But yes, I'm not saying again replacing any assistant or something, but the things which are boring or sequential or maybe which we have been doing repeatedly can now be done by lots of these tools. And now we're seeing some project management tools which can start giving you early warning. Hey, this project is in danger. Can you start taking some action on this? And that is again based on some trend analysis and the data available and the environmental conditions. So think about, if somebody can tell you, hey, just be careful when you're going out. Yes, of course you can see that here weather is getting darker or from the cloud getting darker. But they say, but this kind of dark cloud, you're going to see a very heavy hailstorm or something. Oh, okay, then I will more prepare. So that's what we're talking. This software, actually, one I can name about, which I have contributed to, is we call VxDCC. VxDCC, which is coming out with a full-fledged real-time system, and where all the required systems are there in the package, whether HR and sales and you name it, risk, issues, compliance, governance happening in one single platform. Anyway, so So that's a different topic and different topic for webinar. But yeah, so AI is evolving and it is amazing. If you're not start using it, and if you have a, I was in a, up to a couple of months ago, I was I don't want ChatGPT and this and that. It's like, but more I'm using, I'm falling in love with that product, and that's what it is happening. So, and I like to hear from you, guys, if you put some question on something or something, hey, Dharam, this is what I'm doing, this is how it's helping me in my day-to-day projects or program. Love to see your comments on that at least. Okay. By the way, I've not seen any comments so far, so at least somebody should have said, hello, Dharam, how are you? Thank you, or something. But yeah, I'm still waiting, and I know some of my friends are here. I'm going to say at least hello to me. I know a few names, and many of you already gone through some of my programs, or you're already in my program plan for that. So please say hello to me. To Jeff, not to me. I got it. Perfect. And you are a co-worker. Perfect. I think that you should have done it a long time back. Anyway.
Hey, Marcy.
All right, good stuff. Thank you, Jeff. Very insightful. And let me give you a smaller question, but your answer can be big. I don't care. How to build a resilient team?
This is actually, I'm so excited about that question, because this, with some of this tech reset, right, that to continue and the kind of piggyback onto that, with some of this tech reset, some of the things with, some people let go, organization shifting, all of this kind of thing. On a team, building a resilient team in project, portfolio, program management is very much a passion of mine. And because my absolute favorite thing, and always has been in all my years of project management, is stakeholder engagement and relationships. And building a resilient team, to me though, it starts at the executive level leadership in an organization. Because, and we'll talk about this more today, that is part of this organizational culture. How are as an executive leader, and perhaps we have some, and if we have any executive leaders, directors of PMOs, CEOs, CFOs, whatever on the call, it's like, I would love to hear your comments on what you do to build these teams, because you're sitting at a C-level meeting, maybe with the board, part of that building teams is going to be that organizational vision, the strategic plan, and building that culture into that mission, right? How do we fulfill that vision? And as those strategic plans, those strategic goals, that culture and team building at that level starts to filter down, and we'll especially specifically for us, and I'll just call it PPP, right? Project, program, and portfolio management for us in that PPP world. As now we're dealing with our teams, especially maybe with some of this new technology such as AI, this technology reset where maybe there's some churn, maybe there's a little bit of angst somewhere, we really have an opportunity to shine and provide that stability and to build resilient teams. And what I really think about here is that bedrock, right? Our standards. That is part of why we get these certifications, right? Is to stay current on standards, practices. Why are we interacting now with each other from all over the world in this realm, so we can continue to build that foundation, that bedrock of a team. So there's that strategic plan, those executive leaders. As this filters, then I think the other thing to help build is to keep that stability, our triangle, right? The scope, time, cost. And I think of that as like a mountain. And as us as project leaders, we have to climb that mountain. And as we do that, we take from that executive leaders those principles, and we build in, that helps us become stable. And then we build a team around us and start to build those relationships. Instill, I like to say, professional, productive, and positive relationships with our teams. And as we do that and we help each other, it's not, and Dharam, I appreciate you calling people out saying, hey, help, give us some feedback, give us some questions, because that's how we want to do it in the day-to-day in our organizations. We're not standing at the top of that mountain, at the top of that triangle saying, look at me. We're saying, look at us as a team. Because where does resilience really come into play? If we're building professional relationships, we're teaching people to be positive even amongst the hard times, and that's where resilience shines. I have another quote that somebody that really went through resilience in their life, if anybody remembers Christopher Reeve, you know, the original Superman, the guy had everything, right? He was a Hollywood star. He really was in our Superman on TV. 1995, he loved horseback riding, falls off a horse, breaks his neck, and is paralyzed from the shoulders down. And here's a quote that he talks about that really resonates with me as a project and portfolio manager. He says, experience life in all possible ways. Good, bad. So there's our projects, right? Sometimes we have stakeholders that just do their tasks, and sometimes we have to give them a little extra push. Bitter and sweet, dark and light, summer and winter. Experience all the dualities. Don't be afraid of experience, because the more more experience you have, the more mature you'll become. I love that. The more experience you have, the more mature. And that's how part of that resilience of a team, right? As we continue to build and those professional relationships, keep up on our standards, keep up on those relationships. So when something, we all know projects, programs, they don't always go as 100% planned. And when something comes off the rails, which hopefully doesn't happen very often, our teams are going to stick together because they have the resilience through the good, the bad, the bitter, the sweet, to ring things back in. You learn, you grow from the experience, and we become more mature as a team. And then we all stand at the top, and we can make our mark and say, and then we can start to even influence that culture and that resilience back up to the executives.
Exactly. I mean, very nicely presented. You know, it's a very, very, very good thought, actually. The way we have to build our resilient team. And yes, even the failures happen, but we have to thrive, survive and thrive out of that. And be ready for failure. You know, failures are a great way to learn how to be the better project manager or better program manager. If you never failed, I mean, if you come to me for a job, then I never failed, then I will be hesitant to hire you, because how are you going to deal with it when we have real failures? How are you going to deal? You know, the biggest difference between a successful startup or a successful project program is how resilient you are. How much can you withstand this pressure or the journey you're going through? And that's come with your experience. You know, of course, the day one when you start walking, it's not that you stumble many times and you fall many times, but you are determined that I'm going to learn, I'm going to walk like a normal people, and you do. But the first step you took, you fall many times, and you keep going. Okay, doesn't matter, I have to walk. Same thing, project, program, portfolio, or even your business. Yes, there are a lot of challenges. If you're doing the repeat work, that's okay. But if you're doing something new technology, new environment, things can go wrong because a lot of unpredictability. But if you have gone through and you're mentally very strong, yep, that's fine, it's happening. I will, you know, as a team, and believe it or not, your team is looking towards you as a leader. You need to show them that you are a resilient project manager. If you yourself is scared or you yourself worried about, how are you going to motivate your team?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where, as a leader, project program portfolio manager, or even organizational leader, you need to, you need to have vision. And yes, your team is working with you, motivated, failing, succeeding, and going towards achieving that vision. And of course, failure, don't worry about failure. Failure is part of your learning. If you're worried about, hey, if I do this, if I fail, what will happen? One is, if you keep worrying, you're never going to start. If you never start, how are you going to win? How are you going to start walking in? People say, to win it, if you talk about lotto, somebody do win the lotto. If to win a lotto, you have to have lotto. So you need to take risk. If you don't take risk, if you're not a risk taker, of course we take risk, calculated risk, cost benefit analysis. But don't just stay behind because of cost benefit. Okay, benefit is not too high, cost is too much. Maybe that is the foot in the door. You may have lesser, or maybe negative, but you are moving towards a bigger picture. Anyway, so that's where my thought leadership starts kicking in.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So my next question is how to build organizational agility into company's culture.
Me. I like the word here, agility, because I think it's not, sometimes that might mean agile mindset, right? Which we're going to talk about. Sometimes it might mean agile methodology, but this is a bigger picture of agility in general. How can we shift? Well, I'm going to give a personal example of where I'm at now. Our university is very large. We have about 150,000 active students. And from all 50 states, people, and so we are growing rapidly and lots of change, and especially over the last 6-7 years. And really thought about our organization here when I was thinking about this agility, because that's when a company, in our role as that program, project, portfolio manager, how we can influence our culture and be agile, use the principles that we're learning is the agile mindset. And specifically, I put down 5 here, but as I'll talk about those here in just a second. But as an organization, we're having a lot of change, and we're having to really continue to revisit strategic plans, revisit how we're doing business to be agile. And especially us as project managers, we're implementing new software. And this goes back to that resiliency. Sometimes that's really hard for stakeholders to be agile because of that. Change is hard. And so we can pioneer that. We can be, again, that stability, use our agile mindset, use our principles, and to say, okay, how can I influence my project stakeholders and my team to, again, affect that overall culture and be agile? One of those is to adopt a lean approach, right? One of the very basic agile is to, what can I do here to really kind of, amongst this change, be agile and really pull out those things that are going to give us the most value add out of whatever this process is. Support incremental improvements. This to me is a big one, because to be agile and to get that installed into a company culture, that we have to take those quick wins. Those small wins, that helps you be agile. Sometimes as we look at the big picture, and this is, if some companies are very much still waterfall, but this is why agile came in, and even hybrid, because sometimes it's really hard to look at the end picture, especially in certain, whether you're in technology or certain manufacturing or whatever the industry is. We want to be agile, and we have to take those quick wins, and that might be, maybe discovery is a quick win. Maybe getting to the end of the planning phase is a quick win. Maybe we have this huge software implementation, but maybe one little plugin is a quick win, and celebrate those with our teams. That's going to build, that's again going to encourage your teams. That's going to build agility into your teams. It's going to build resilience, because maybe that quick win is followed up by a quick failure. Okay, well, now how can we be agile? And you spoke to it very well. How can we do that in a failure? We have two choices. We can stay down, or we can pop back up again and go, great. How can we be agile through this failure so we can chain that into another quick win? And that leads me to allow teams, my team, our team members, if you're maybe head of a PMO, all of your project management, allow teams to innovate. And that's another key, is that one person doesn't have all the answers. Allow teams in your organization to innovate. And that's not just come up with something new that's never been heard of. It may be a change of a process. It may be an automated process. Being agile in those, that could be another quick win, is to allow your teams to automate. And then this, and you've even asked people on this call, hey, give us some feedback, give us some questions. And I think to be agile, we have to allow end-to-end feedback. That's another, from the start to the finish. As we do those, what worked, what didn't, how did we have to shift? It's that old adage, let's take three steps forward, may have to take 2 steps back. Or maybe we use our mountain example. All of a sudden, here's a big rock that we can't go over it. So let's shift around it so we can still continue to the top, all the way giving feedback. And I've appreciated that at my organization with this big change. And I won't name any specifics, but this big implementation that I'm going through right now with some portfolio software, is that it's that constant feedback loop. Oh, let's try this. Didn't work. I did a report the other day. This one here to talk about failure. I did a report the other day and I thought, oh, I got this. I'm going to show all these new things. And the report came out and it didn't give me any of the data that I wanted to. And so I'm like, okay. So I had 2 choices there. I could say, how can I show that resiliency? How can I show that agility? Okay, let me just take a step back, think about this a little bit, asked a couple people, what do you think about this? Got their feedback, went back in to the report, boom. Now I got the data that I wanted. It helped me. It helped my teammates, knowing that they were encouraged because they could support me. I was encouraged because now I can give this to executive leaders to say, here's the data that you would like to look at. And all the while that helped everybody become agility. And it's kind of that same thing. You think about the ballet dancer, you think about, I'm a big musical guy. I love theater, but I can't sing. I can act, but I can't sing. So I love watching musicals. And it's just that how agile they are as they move on stage and sing and talk. And sometimes things go wrong on live theater, and they adjust and then keep going. And then when everything's done, what's the feedback that they get? We don't sit in a 2.5-hour Broadway musical and never clap till the end. As we're going through, we're clapping after a solo. We're clapping after a powerful scene. And we should do that in our organizations to kind of show how agile and supportive we can be.
Yeah, great. And that's what our friends should be doing, appreciating that. Thank you or something. But I'm not seeing any questions so far, which is not very exciting. But anyway, so that means either we are doing a great job, or they are already sleeping.
Or I put everybody to sleep. So
looks like everybody's sleeping. You've done such a good job. Anyway, but yeah, great. Thank you for using great examples. Very, very useful. Being agile, agility is very, very important in the current VUCA environment. The things are moving very fast. You're working on some technology, suddenly you realize, hey, a new technology is coming up. You start using a new technology, in a few days you say, I think the previous technology is not going to give us expected results. to keep changing, Yes, that's why we need to have an agile mindset, not just stick to what we have agreed upon 5 years ago. Now we have to deliver what we said. But we see the importance and how it's going to help us to learn that new technology and keep moving.
And something with that as a response, I appreciated that comment that Marcy just put, because that was right. I was just going to talk about, I said, have a strong relationship with my executive sponsor and they trust me, they will feel more comfortable with Agile. And that is so true, because I was going to make a comment just to piggyback on yours, that we have to be Agile, but that doesn't mean we're making change just for the sake of change. There's that comment there of, my sponsor has my trust, because they know as we Agile and we shift and move through this project, through this program, that there's a reason behind it. And therefore our executive sponsors, as we build that into our culture, as Marcy, I appreciate that comment there, that then gives us a reason behind being Agile. We're not just saying, hey, we're going to change because we want to change.
No, there has to be a reason behind that. And if you just want to impose a change from top down, hey, because executive wants that, or shareholder wants that. No, it's not about that. It's about getting the confidence from the people or the team who's going to make the change possible. You need to empower them. You need to get the feedback and make them feel that this change is actually going to make a huge change to them, improvement to them. So that's where very important, as we talk about stakeholder identification, stakeholder engagement plan, all this thing, what the stakeholder needs and how and when, and how can I make this change possible within this, maybe a tough stakeholder group. They don't want to change, but you have to make it because of some, because it's important for the organization and important for them. They may not realize it, but this new software will help them to do things better, faster. So you need their buy-in as well. So that's where you need to engage with them and find out what is going to work with them, what is not, and have some change leaders among them. And that's how as a change manager or a change leader, you're going to make a difference. Okay, so just quick things I have shared on the chat. If you have not seen, please check. Link to there are some links as well. Actually, these links are about my YouTubes, where I've talked about PgMP PfMP. If you're in the process of getting your PgMP PfMP, that would be great to go through that. Because you will see me differently when I was old a few years ago versus now, different things. And I have started a series of PgMP PfMP. As of now, I've done 2 programs so far. The next program is on 3rd or 4th of August. 3rd, I'm saying because of American time zone, and 4th for Australian time zone. So if you have not attended, or if you like to continue to join these programs, that can be useful. And I have also shared link to short link. If your chapter is also, we have affiliation with them. So you can win, you can get some discount to our programs as well. So soon I will be putting the PDU code, so if you can keep an eye on that. Thank you. Thank you for the questions you are putting now. I can see lots of questions. Great. Let me take the question. What does great program management look like to you?
So that is a really great question, Trina. So one for me for good program management, and I'm going to take this not from a development standpoint, which sometimes we think of, right, product management within the program, but just as a program. So for an example, what I think great program management looks like is making sure that that this program, for an example, we have something coming up as an example, we're really trying to assist and make it better. Say, just an example, say you're in an industry with, in our case, education, and you really want to help your students, their whole application and enrollment life cycle improve, as an example. So you come up with a program for that. Well, what does that good program look like? Did you say, we got 5 projects, so let's stick it in this program and let's call it enrollment? No, you first start with matching it up with, okay, is this part of a portfolio? Does this match up with the strategic plan of the organization? Great. Okay, let's attach it to that. And then the program, what's one of the first things that we want to look at with a program? What kind of benefits is this going to accomplish for our organization? And that to me is the good start to a program, making sure that, again, that bedrock, as we start that, how can this move our organization forward and give it the benefits that we say that what it's going to do? And then everything else is, right, how do we get that to be realized? Then we can take our projects, part of that realization is to say, okay, whatever projects under that program, how can we get those to execute and realize? And then when it's done, and I know some of this stuff is just standard process, but that's what a good and then when it's done, to me, one of the biggest keys to a successful, good program is when we hand that off and it's completed and we close the books and pass that on and transition it on to operations, is to be able to look back and go, oh, that did exactly what we said it's going to do, and the benefits just keep going. Doesn't mean we don't ever have to revisit it. New things might come up, but we can sit back as a program manager and sit back and enjoy and celebrate by going, yes, this matched up to a strategic goal. Yes, it completed the benefits that we said it was going to do, and look at how those benefits are being executed. And then you look to the next one. Does that help, Trina? Does that answer your question? I try to make it general.
Yeah. Look, great, good way of putting together. Of course, you need to make sure that as a program manager, you are strategically aligned and you have coordinated, you are working with this team and your exciting team, and all these words we're talking, resilient and agility is all there. And then make it happen and look back, hey, this is what I made. This was impossible when we started, but I made it happen. So yes, we have to think about processes, what process to follow, what tools we have, what tool techniques we have. At the same time, we need to have a mindset of making it possible. Sometimes and I can go and talk about one of the example where HP came to me, hey, we have a data center, cloud data center required. In next 6 months, I'm talking 2010 when the cloud was, people started knowing about cloud. At the time, nobody have understanding of, very few people have understanding of cloud. And my manager asked, Dharam, I know it's impossible, but can you do it? He said, okay, let's give it a go. And as long as you don't ask me, my project management plan, my risk management plan, my schedule management plan, by all this plan, he said, look, Dharam, I know you're a process guy, you're PgMP, PMP, but what I'm looking for is the result. As long as you can make it happen, and that's what I'm looking for. Of course, any product manager will say that, and we need to be careful what we accept it. Yes, he said, Dharam, I will look after this stakeholder engagement and another thing, but I will get you there. So believe it or not, we were late by 5 days, but that too because a problem which nobody was able to understand, the whole of the HP. So then the manager said to me, his name is Bob, he said, Dharam, I've worked with so many program managers, and they generally sit behind the process. Let me do this, let me do step 1, step 2, step 3. When you said you wanted to make it happen, you made it happen. Mm-hmm. So that's what if you want to see how the program manager great program manager look like, you can see me. No, it's not about me.
And let me make one more comment that for Trina, for your question too, from the human perspective of project management, and you touched on that as a program manager. I want to see the results. One thing to me that is also really critical to good program management is, as a program manager, is protecting your team. As these results are going, is really protecting, being that buffer, because you have to be ready to absorb whatever comes your way, being agile. Maybe a project, something goes wrong in a project manager, so you have all of those soft skills as a project manager when it comes to that human component, that conflict management, that encouragement. So that's one thing that I did want to add in, that I don't want to leave out, because to me that is a big passion of mine. Again, is that relationship and making sure that you protect your people as a program, because one of the worst things you can do is sever those things and start throwing your people under the bus, as it will, as opposed to protecting them and making sure that you can keep that good culture, keep that agile, deal with those things as you need to, but you don't ever sever those relationships just to get the results. You want to make sure that you protect your team in the process.
Exactly. Very well said. As a servant leader, as a program manager, portfolio manager, project manager, you are a servant leader. You are the front end. You are creating the environment so your team can do what they have to do. So if there's any roadblocks or some impediments, you need to see. Yes, it's not that you have to do all the things. You have people to do this, but you are the front end. You are the one who's going to get all these aids and problems, and okay, we can work it out. And you have to work it out. Yep, the relationship are the keys. Great, thank you. Thank you for the very great question. Thank you. All right, I will take two questions, and both of them are related. And this is about asking what is your current role and responsibilities in WGU, and how PgMP is helping you in your current role?
Okay, thanks, Satish. If I say that right, thanks for the questions. First, I'll do the one that's really easy. My roles and responsibility. I am a portfolio project manager. Is my title at WGU. It is more on the realm of portfolio management. So my responsibility, one of my big responsibilities, is we are implementing a really big portfolio management software, strategic planning software. And I, for lack of better words, kind of being the gatekeeper, so to speak, of those intakes for requests, for projects, for programs, and being part of the fiscal year planning process. That's another big part of my role. So that responsibility means making sure that, again, all of those things stay organized, and that I can make sure, and I'm not watching an individual task on a project. I'm watching, hey, in this portfolio, again, I'll use a personal example, say the College of Business, that's a portfolio. How is that portfolio implementing, completing the things that they said that here's what we're going to do for the next 2 years. Here's the programs underneath of it. Here's the project. So I can take that information, watch it, see if there's any issues, and report that data to the executives so they can keep making informed decisions from a strategic level. That's kind of a nutshell of my portfolio responsibilities. I'm part of a really great team of project managers that are doing organizational wide projects and are doing and implementing and executing some of those programs and portfolios that I was just talking about. How is the PgMP helping me in my current role? I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest things that the PgMP is helping me in my role is I love looking at the benefits realization of that. That is one of the biggest things that I knew about it. I've done it in different roles for years, but the PgMP, to really look at the details on how a program executes and fulfills those benefits and how it's tied to the organizational mission and vision and goals, strategic, that is one of the biggest things that how I've been able to use my PgMP, because now I look through that lens, right? As I'm looking at the software, as I'm looking at these things, I'm looking through that lens of, oh, this program, here's some things that and Dharam, you're right. It's like, we have to worry about the documentation, right? Stakeholder engagement plans, transition plans, ROI, all of those sorts of things. That's something else that I'm using because I know much more now because of that certification about those things. But to an external source, to an executive, as you were saying, when you're talking to somebody, that PgMP, that those foundations of benefits realization and how that works with all of the stakeholders that I'm engaged with, that's probably helping me more than anything of what I learned in that area.
Great, thank you. Okay, just for the benefit of people, I like to tell you, I have already posted the PDU code on the chat. If you're not seen, please take a note, screenshot it or whatever you have to, take a note of that. If you don't see it, let me know, I will repost it. And if you're watching it as a video later on, so you please send me an email. Dharam, I watched this video with Jeff, and it was great. Yeah, talk great things about it to earn the PDU. And yeah, so yeah, communicate with me. I will share with you the PDU code. So no worries, and good. I still have some questions. I know we are just over reaching the boundary of the time, but I have some questions. I like to cover that. Not too many. Actually, 2 more questions to go. 1 question from audience. So how do influential leaders change how projects are run, are making their marks?
Yeah, I kind of alluded to some of this earlier too, with building that, climbing that mountain, making our mark that way. And to me, again, it's as this all you can see how much related these questions and even these topics are, because as we influence culture, as we're agile in our decision making, as we build those resilient teams, what does that do? What's a byproduct of that? That helps us run our projects better, run our programs better. And that also is us personally, you, me, when we make our mark. Right now, especially, again, we talked about the tech reset, we talked about AI during this time of huge change, huge technology, new things that are, we're right at the brink of that. And as we run our projects and we build those teams, we can make our mark. This is a great time for us to shine as project, program, and portfolio managers, because we can lay those foundations again. We can build those teams and use these standards. There is a reason why PMI has been around for as long as it has. That's another way that we can say, look, yes, we adapt it to our organization, right? That's PMI says that's what you do. You take these principles and that is one way we could say, now, how can we run these projects to give the most value, to give the results that we want? And as we do that, if I do that 2 or 3 times, and Dharam's he is my program manager, next time we run a project, I'm making a mark. He's going to look at that and go, Jeff, when him and his team, when they did this last $10 million program over the last 18 months, they executed it, worked through all the problems, and got the results that we wanted. He's going to say, hey, let's get that team again. And you can plug your name in there. That's how you can make your mark, is by being consistent, by being resilient, by following these standards, and along the way, building relationships with stakeholders. Because that, again, I keep going back to it, but I've seen it for so many years that even if a project doesn't go as planned through the whole process, those relationships are still there. And if you've engaged and built them with the stakeholders, so that next time they're going to go, yeah, this didn't go great, but I know how you handled it. And so, again, makes your mark. Let you kind of be that person that you don't have to just to say, pick me. as you make your mark, people are going to say, I pick you.
Yeah, because they really loved what you did and the way you did. You made it possible. It was impossible at the start, but you made it possible with the creating vision and taking everybody along with you, motivating them to be on that path and make it happen. That's what the influential leaders. You are the one who, you are not just there as a admin work or schedule, and at the weekend or the Friday morning you're doing your admin reports, and no, it's more than that. You need to be, people should see that and see you as a leader, and they are following you. They are following a direction.
And there's, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, yeah. So they love the leader who really believe in themselves and and inspire, motivate the team to be on that path and make it possible. Yes.
And so on your team, this is such a perfect segue. I have one more last quote here from Karen Tate, who Karen Tate is a PMI staple. She's been a PMI fellow since 2008 or 2009, multiple term board member in PMI, started a women-owned organization, TGTG. She's done consulting for Fortune 500 companies, and she says something so simple but so profound about the plan, the game plan that you just mentioned, Dharam. She just said, trying to manage a project without project management is like trying to play football without a game plan.
Exactly.
And what is one of the biggest influential leaders on a football field, and you can plug in whatever sport, soccer, that it's like the person in the booth. They're looking at the whole picture. They're looking at the team, and they're watching and learning the game plan, and they're executing the game plan, and they're not even on the sideline. And so they're up there coordinating everything, and that's us as influential project leaders. We have to continue to watch. We build the team team executes, and we continue to influence. Why? So we can get to the end zone and then celebrate the success of our team.
Yeah, perfect, great, thank you. I have one last question. That's the audience question. What do you see as a role of highly experienced program manager in today's agile and automated environment?
I think some of this question, I would kind of covered a lot of this in the answer of Trina's question on what is good project or program management look to you. I think a lot of that was in there, and then I think the other things really just kind of rolled into in this AI environment. Same principles apply. It's just a matter of during this AI, it's just it's like everything else, it's scary, but as a program manager, like you said, we have to keep moving forward. It was scary when computers came up. It was scary when we started initial automation. It was scary when we changed from waterfall to agile for a lot of organizations. And AI is just another thing along the road that as a good project manager that we can adapt to and make sure that however we implement it fits with our organization, and we champion that, whatever is decided as a program manager. So hopefully that question was answered for you a little bit earlier, but hopefully that'll fill in some of the gaps too.
Yeah, I think we have covered most of this earlier, so I'm satisfied, and it's okay. But yeah, thank you, Jeff, for your experience, sharing experience and insightful thoughts, and an example you gave throughout the presentation or talking. It was great and very engaging. Thank you for that. And
yeah, thank you.
And I'd like to thank all of you guys to join this session or these sessions. I know, as I said, probably more than 200 webinars so far. I'm proud of it. However, when I started a long time back, how it's going to happen? First webinar to now, with so many people came onto this platform and share their knowledge and experience. And of course, my team behind the scene, they are the one who's making it possible. And understanding about your profile, what kind of question, what kind of things we're going to talk about, and making it, so many things are there behind the scene. And so look, I mean, there are many ways you can get benefit from me if you have not so far. You can join my boot camps. I'm running the boot camp, physical boot camps. I'm coming to Australia next month. Actually, I'm running courses in Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne. If you are part of the local chapters, you will get some extra discount if you have not achieved so far. And you can also join my group mentoring programs, which I'm starting a couple of programs next week actually, with PgMP program, PfMP program. So you can inquire about that. And you can do one-to-one program just like Jeff did. And that kind of program we can start pretty much any day, anytime, and you can benefit. So look, there are many ways I can help you, and feel free to connect with me and connect with Jeff. And I'm sure he will be more than happy to share his experience, in a different forum. And why not learn from each other?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It looks like there's one big question here. What is this? Have you read this?
It was more of a statement. Juan had a great statement. Just said it helps a lot and gives you orientation and guidance on the activities that you need to do and complete. It helps a lot to guide because it helps you as a leader see through your team's eyes. I love that, to look through that lens. I learned during my time as a PM that close communication is key to have a resilient team and face the challenges or problems that are raising through the process. So yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Juan, for that.
Thank you, Jan, and it was great. Thank you for sharing. And once again, thank you all for being part of the journey of learning. And hopefully, when you're watching this in 24 somewhere, you can look back. Hey, my grandfather was there with Dharam, who was also.
Nice.
So that's what the knowledge pool about. I'm hoping that by the time I go from this planet, I have lots of knowledge available, which is freely available to anyone. So bless you. Mission. All right, great. So thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
And thank you for everyone participating in this discussion, and looking forward to help you out one way or other. Great, and thank you on putting your messages. Wow, okay, fun, wonderful. Take care.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.